Yes, thank you. And just a really short presentation of Zetland. And I'm sorry, I'll probably be saying we a lot about Zetland, but as Ariel mentioned before, I stepped down as CEO, and I'm currently in the US. But I'm still a co-founder, of course, and co-owner. So, other people, wonderful people at Zetland, are doing the work currently. So we are. I think we can call ourselves the most successful newspaper startup in the Nordic countries. We've become that by being what Jay Rosen would call a very thick membership model. We try. One way to frame our mission is to build a public conversation that's based on curiosity and wisdom. To use a very old-fashioned term, a different way to say it would be to make the world a little bit less stupid. We've been profitable a few years and still growing. Luckily, we have around 25,000 members currently, and of them, 3,000 are ambassadors. We have an ambassador campaign coming up later this summer. We are 100% transparent. I'd like to say that's a lot of percentages, but test me if you like in the question area. And we have a few claims to fame, at least what have given us international attention a few times. And one is the mentioned ambassador model that I spoke about yesterday. The other is we've had some success being guided by our members by having all of our articles published as audio articles. And I think we wouldn't be here today if we hadn't taken that step. And that's one of the things I try to say to people working with text journalism around the world. I really think we have to think about how journalism is most relevant in everyday, like in people's everyday lives, from a very practical standpoint, from user, like a situational standpoint. And we found that making our articles accessible in audio was really the key to that. And I think maybe that has to do with the young as well. So I'll get to that in a little while. And and of course, the third thing is what Ariel mentioned, which is what our members look like. So these are the demographics. Our members in general, like all our paid members, we're 100% membership funded. So when we're talking about members, they are all paying members. And they are young. They are 18 to about a third of them are 18 to 29-year-olds. About 40% are between 30 and 44, and the remaining group is older. We want to be as diverse as we can geographically, age-wise, in terms of income, social background, ethnicity, everything. So we don't like try to be a young publication, but we sort of are, especially compared to many of other people in journalism these years, of course. But I think there's an important question when we talk about the young, which is what are we actually talking about? So there is this group over here, I would say the very young. They are like 18 to 25. I believe their life situation does not necessarily lend itself to paid journalism. They are trying to figure out who they are in life, or we were all there, all of us. And their attention will go places depending on their life choices and their interests and their friends. But then there is the next group, and it's not it's not because I'm 43 that I define young people this way. It's I would say compared to the business in general. I think the very important people to look at right now are the people that are maybe 25. Starting to maybe finish their education, get their first jobs, build and their identities as grown-ups. I think that's the very important group to think about, and that's sort of like fades. And again, this is partly from research and partly like anecdotal and my ideas. So take it for what it is. When we talk to our members, we can see that there is a phase after finishing your education and getting a job, and until you maybe start having children and getting other types of responsibilities, where you are open for new things, and you have you're financially, you're probably doing pretty well in those years if you're lucky enough to have a job. And I think those are the people that the journalism industry is having, you know, a lot of trouble connecting with right now. And it's definitely, it's the group that we've had the fortune of connecting with really well. I think also we can learn a lot from the even younger ones. So I'll actually just get to that group in the very end of the presentation. So I quote one of my co-panelists from earlier this week. This was said during the membership puzzle summit. Young people want to watch Netflix and listen to Spotify. They want entertainment. They don't want to pay for news. I will simply say I believe this is wrong, at least as like a sweeping statement. So I just picked up like a number from a Pew Internet Research study in May, and this is a question that was put to, this is in the American public, and the question was, have you talked about need for action on climate at least 1-2 times? And these are the age brackets, and the one on the left is the youngest age bracket, what they call Generation Y. And the funny thing is, the question was, have you done this within the past 2 weeks? So 2/3 of the youngest generation have had this conversation within the last 2 weeks. So you can see that young people are currently more interested in paying for Netflix and Spotify. Yes, that's probably true across the world. But if we frame them as somebody who wants entertainment and who have no interest in connecting with wider issues, I think we're making a very big mistake. And I took climate now, but it actually goes for a bunch of other issues. Maybe not the exact same ones as our parents would be interested in, but I would say climate is just like the top of the iceberg. And this is a great reason for optimism. So I would say if we're not able to be relevant to these people, that's on us in journalism. If we want to understand this better, I can highly recommend the report from the Reuters Institute from, I think, 2 years ago. It's a qualitative study, but it really underlines this idea that when we talk about young people, they are very, very different. There is definitely a group. This was done in the US and the UK. There is a large group. In this study, it's like the people on the very left of the framework you see on the right side of the screen that are difficult to connect with, and some of them are news avoiders. Huge challenge, but there are many, many young people that will be ready to lead the way and have a great interest in news. They don't feel necessarily that traditional news outlets are relevant to them or speaking to them even. Also, I would say though that in this report, the conclusion is that it's hard to achieve loyalty from this group, and I think that's wrong. And I'll give my argument in a second. Because the thing was, we actually weren't trying to reach young people, like in particular, when we started launching in 2016. Actually, the CEO at the time, who was me, almost had the same stupid ideas that we can hope to reach the people that are having families or in their 40s, 50s, and older people that are already paying for newspapers. That was my idea, because I heard so many times, especially back then, young people will not pay for journalism. Well, turned out we attracted young people, and of course I have some ideas about why. So we were running a thick membership model. We were trying actively, to be honest, and to be as vulnerable as possible. So I believe when trying to be transparent, you have to be the most transparent about your insecurities and your vulnerabilities and your mistakes. Also, we were actively listening to our members. This is really similar to the best of what's happening on YouTube. And this entire age bracket is that that's that's one thing that ties them together. They all use YouTube, and they are very accustomed to how relationships are built on YouTube and how people communicate. So I think that helped us connect with them. The second part was we were from the beginning trying to be solutions oriented, constructive journalism, what do you want to call it. So we always tried to not simply write about death and destruction. And we only publish a few stories every day, and it's like in the genre of feature journalism. So our focus was big issues, big ideas, and the future. And if there is one thing that ties the younger generations together, I would say that it's being aspirational is just part of being young. Cynicism comes with age, and I have to say one of the things I dislike most about news journalism, which I'm trained in. I'm a journalist myself originally. Is like the built-in cynicism, and that's something we have to take a step back from, if we want to connect with the young. So our way of thinking about journalism definitely helped us. And the third thing was how we told stories. We journalists tend to tell stories often because we know so much about what's going on. We'll just like write a story about the latest stuff that happened in some Joe Biden political, something. And we consciously tried to take things from the top. I remember Crowd Reporter a few days ago in a presentation said that one of the most successful stories was about like explaining the Palestinian problem from the very top. One of the most successful stories. We've tried that many times. And next thing is we always explain very explicitly why is this story important. Because again, as journalists, we have habits of like simply thinking this is important because it's important. No, not necessarily. There are so many things we could spend our time following. And the final thing is we have invested a lot from the beginning in building a technology that is frictionless. That is something I believe is like a foundation. If you're trying to do anything with technology with this age group, they are used to low friction, and at the same time we said actually we want this to be easy and not disturb you all the time. We're very careful about notifications and these things, and to be honest, this generation uses technology every single day, every minute of the day almost, and they sort of hate it. If you really talk, like if you know somebody that's really young, or if you're young yourself, the thing, they are with their friends, and their friends will be checking their phones, and they do it themselves, and they don't really like it. So the idea of technology and media being more friendly to social circumstances, that actually works. So these, I think, were the reasons that we sort of ended up becoming connecting with the young, and the final. Maybe the final ingredient is this very difficult idea of tone of voice. We talked about it yesterday as well. And what is tone of voice? I usually say that the tone of voice we aspire to is to be you're taking a drive with a friend, and this friend is knowledgeable and passionate about something, and she is telling you, what's on her mind. That's how we wanted to feel, connecting with our journalism, and I think we wouldn't be here if we hadn't like actively tried to pursue that. So that's it. At the very end, I'll just let you meet this guy. This is my 15-year-old son, because there are the even like the next generation of young people, like Frode, his name is, and I try to talk with him as much this year as I can, because I'm pursuing the fellowship to try to like understand how trust evolves. and like relationships evolve on platforms such as Twitch or YouTube and these places where there is a surplus, I would even say, of trust. And I think we have so much to learn from our children or our younger friends, and we really have to listen to what they're saying. He just told me that one of the YouTubers he follows will stream the entire process of putting together a video on Twitch. Like the whole day will be streamed on Twitch. That's transparency. And actually, the other thing I'll be looking at during my fellowship is figuring out how to open something like Zetland in new countries. So that's like a segue to Javier. I'm very much looking forward to hearing from our friends at El Diario.